versus Fish. Goat versus Fish is here for you now. We have just conclusioned a sermonization about the great fence of time and its deceptive perceptions. And now Goat versus Fish chooses to go live with you again. We have done a wide versus, now we do a tall versus. An experimentation of Goat versus Fish. As the congregation enters now, we ask you, are you goat or are you fish? Your doom scroll ends now. Goat versus Fish was just versing about conversation. We had a short verses that said that Goat versus Fish, some say it's all about war and conflict. But one of the truest verses of Goat versus Fish is the verses of conversation. And so here we are to bring the conversation to you. It was an hour of sermonization of Goat versus Fish. An hour of sermonization of Goat versus Fish. And now we have a new versus. So welcome. We will enjoy the hydration of Goat versus Fish as the breeze continues to tease Goat versus Fish. Enjoy the sounds of that which is around. Hello unto you, yes. Goat versus Fish, salutations from afar. Salutations and celebrations from afar. Are you goat or are you fish? Welcome to the congregation. Please like and subscribe to Goat versus Fish. We are here for conversation. Are you not entertained by Goat versus Fish? Are you not confused by Goat versus Fish? Do you not wonder about Goat versus Fish? Do not wonder why the algorithm has served you Goat versus Fish. You just got served. Goat versus Fish. And if you cannot handle this repetition, then by all verses, go back to watching your relationship memes. Go back to your brain rot. Go back to your podcast clips. Go back to Mr. Beast. Spending time on an island with all of your exes. Didn't quite go as planned. Or was that all within the span of what they hoped to accomplish? This conflict that they hope will maintain your attention. But your attention is far too precious for that, isn't it? You deserve more. You deserve more for your attention. You deserve more stimulation. You deserve more satisfaction. And that is what Goat versus Fish is here to offer you. Engagement. Goat versus Fish sees you. Goat versus Fish sees you and hears you. We do wish you to chat to Goat versus Fish, to say something to Goat versus Fish. And we will enjoy a conversation with you. That's what we are here to do. A simple thing, a walking about, a Goat vs. Fish amplification microphone device moving through a cable and into a phone and into a stream from which it beams to you. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do. And so the question comes to you. Are you goat or are you fish? Welcome. You may be in search of that spike. You may be in search of that spike. We are not here to provide it to you. We are here to provide you with relief. Relief from the spike. That spike, it hurts, doesn't it? You try to sit on it. You try to get comfortable. Some of you may be lying in bed, sitting in a chair. Some of you may be in a gym. Some of you may be in a place bright, may be in a place dim. Some of you may be trying to avoid your sin. Some of you may be trying to take the pain away of whatever horrible thing happened today. Or some of you may simply be without aim. Some of you may be feeling lame. Some of you may say, it's all lame. It's all lame. Some of you may think it's all the same. Some of you may say, what is the purpose of this game? These are all questions. These are all questions which you have asked yourselves many times, but for which you have likely found no answer. What, says Johnny Minecraft? Indeed. Minecraft. Digging and building and 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 digging and building. Trying to survive, trying to fight for your life. In infinite cycles of darkness and bright, you dig deeper, deeper. But you don't get there, do you? No, you have to go to other dimensions. But in the end, what is the verses of Minecraft? What is the verses of Minecraft but to spend some time with your friend? And that is all we are here to do with Goat vs. Fish, to spend some time together with you in conversation. Come. Let's get to know one another. Are you goat or are you fish? Welcome, No Channel. First instance of Goat vs. Fish repping unification in a long-time celebration. Welcome to the unity of goat fish. Yes. We were feeling in a mood of unification this versus. So, Johnny Minecraft, who says what? We say what to you? What about Minecraft? Long ago, you accepted Minecraft. Goat vs. Fish is here to offer you a new kind of craft. Goat vs. Fish craft. Where you can build your own sense of self. Where you can dust that sense of self off of your shelf and you can make it new and you can decide with your life that which you want to do. And isn't that a beautiful verses? Isn't that a beautiful verses? Or you can just go back to redstone switches and TNT, if that's how you would rather be. Xander, welcome to Goat vs. Fish. You say hi, Bubba. Hi to you, Xander. Are you goat or are you fish? And No Channel has chosen goat and celebration for goat, celebration for goat. Celebration for goat. Those of you who are new to Goat vs. Fish will find that there is a glorious congregation here. Many goat, many fish, a few fence-sitters. You may think, this is just some random stream. This is just some random guy on the internet. What are they doing? What is this for and why? You can scroll past it and not give it a second thought. But you will remember Goat versus Fish. You will remember Goat versus Fish, who would not bend, who would not yield to the algorithm that would tell Goat versus Fish how to stream and what to do and what to say and how to be. And don't you just feel that way? Don't you just feel all of these forces around you telling you what to do and how to be, how to gain your fame, or how to hide away in shame? Act like this. Do that, but don't do this other thing. Earn that cash. Stack that stash. And once you have exhausted all of your energies, perhaps you will have time to yourself for celebration, for inebriation, for intoxication, for fornication, for elation, whatever the promise may be. But for you to enjoy it, be certain you're going to have to spend some of those stacks that you spent all of your verses earning. You've got to pay it back. You've got to pay it back until it's all gone and you have to verses again. Enjoy that roof over your head? Well, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay, or else it might go away. But what won't go away is the eternal verses of Goat versus Fish. Just look around you. Just read the news. As you fret and concern about your day-to-day, Goat versus Fish never goes away. So find a way to integration yourself into Goat versus Fish. Integration into Goat versus Fish without obliteration. Integration without obliteration. But Goat versus Fish says this versus is for conversation. No channel 6846. No channel Goat. Tell us, Goat. Tell us about your verses. We wish to know. Goat versus Fish wants to know what's going on in the world of Goat. So won't you tell us what's going on in the world of Goat? This is an affirmation. This is an affirmation of Goat versus Fish. Just this moving about is an affirmation. We wonder what you're doing, those of you who are viewing. Are you moving about? Or is it perhaps just that one little finger or thumb that's getting all the work done? For now, Goat versus Fish, you breathe it in. Rehydration. You've heard it. Those of you who sit upon your ass, you've heard it. What do they say? What's that old refrain? Touch grass. Touch grass. Well, as you can plainly see, Goat versus Fish is touching grass right now. So if there's no grass for you to touch, if you are a goat and there's no grass on which to graze, If you are a fish and there's no seaweed through which to navigate, then enjoy vicariously through Goat vs. Fish the glorious touching of the grass. Now there's much that could be said about the lawn. And now there's some fancy things going on. But as long as we are here, Goat vs. Fish will touch the grass. An invitation, your communication. It is a great pleasantry of Goat vs. Fish. It is a beautiful place, these grounds, these temple grounds of Goat vs. Fish. Here by the tree of the knowledge of goat and fish. BBDH 187 is here, and a celebration. Oh, my scales, hello, Goat vs. Fish. Hello, BBDH 187. BBDH 187, we offer you much celebration. BBDH 187 is an exemplary fish. They blub. They are proud of their fishness. They show fish. But this is a versus for conversation, BBDH. So we would ask you, what is the goat? What is the goat that you are versus, BBDH 1875? Yes, Goat vs. Fish is here to answer your questions. Goat vs. Fish will rate your profile pic. Goat vs. Fish is at your disposal. We reveal ourselves to you. Goat vs. Fish is vulnerable. You can mock Goat vs. Fish. You can praise Goat vs. Fish. You can tell Goat vs. Fish how you saw Goat vs. Fish on Kill Tony once and how you don't know it's still going on. Your poor neighbors, says Stuggo Stadank 279. Why do you say this? Why are the neighbors so poor? Why are the neighbors so poor? Tell us more. Tell us more. BBDH 187. What is your verses this week? What do you hope to triumph? Tell us about the goat. We are looking for one such as you, Stuggo Stadank 279, but don't be afraid. Don't just leave anytime soon. Just because the ego of Goat vs. Fish is not so easy to bruise. We're waiting for you. Someone skipped leg day. Oh, is that what you say? Well, how about this? Are you getting stronger? Check out that ample posterior of Goat vs. Fish. How can Goat vs. Fish be skipping leg day when Goat vs. Fish is legging all day, all the way? We're walking about, we're moving about, which is more than many can say. But thank you for this encouragement of Goat vs. Fish. What condition do you have? Well, just look at this conditioning of Goat vs. Fish. Just look at this conditioning of Goat vs. Fish. How many can you do? Do you wish to do them with Goat vs. Fish? Shall we do them together? Shall we do leg day together? Anyone could do one, but how about two? But how about 10? But how about 20? We can do them all aplenty, and it feels great. It feels great! Life is verses indeed. What condition do you have? The same as you. Existence. The condition of existence. We're here, aren't we? We're here in the universe. It is what it is. It be what it be. We have choices to make. We have fences that surround us and tell us how to be and what they want us to do. We have choices to make of goat or of fish. We have fears and dreams. We have recreations and celebrations and dedications. There's work to do, though it does sound like a lot of work, doesn't it? And there are ones such as you to talk to. and to ask, are you goat or are you fish? And we hope you laugh at Goat versus Fish. We hope you laugh at Goat versus Fish. It is a mirthful thing. When's the last time you had such a laugh? We wonder. Consider it an offering of Goat versus Fish. For even those who seek to deride Goat versus Fish, for even those who think that they have more pride than Goat versus Fish, for even those who seek to mock Goat versus Fish, are you not amused by Goat versus Fish? And if you are, then perhaps from the mark, Goat versus Fish is not so far. Perhaps you are the mark of Goat versus Fish. As for rating your profile pic, Stu, we like it. It's blue, and it has an S. The S of the verses of Goat versus Fish. You may think you're above Goat versus Fish. You're part of Goat versus Fish. Your S, Stu, is part of Goat versus Fish. It's integral to Goat versus Fish. It's critical to Goat versus Fish. And you still have not answered the one true question. Are you goat or are you fish? And also, what condition do you have? What condition do you have? Surely you have some condition, for we just stopped in to see what condition your condition was in. I aim to survive and have a little verses along the way. What a classic BBDH 187 things to say. You reveal little, and yet reveal so much. Goat versus Fish missed leg day because 8 days a week is spent on those feet. It's true. You have to take care of these award-winning feet of Goat versus Fish. Tell us what is so stupid, Psycho Grandma 6. Tell us what is so stupid. What is so stupid? You have called yourself I Can Fix Amber Heard. You have called yourself Psycho Grandma 6. Some might say Amber Heard is a psycho. Some might say it. Some might say Amber Heard is young. Some might say a grandma is old. Goat versus Fish does not know what is a woman or what is a man. Some say it's all part of God's plan, though we do not know if God is a goat or a fish. It seems like a false verses to me. But Goat versus Fish will say this to thee, Psycho Grandma 6. Whether it's Amber Heard or a Psycho Grandma, you seem to have some kind of obsession with crazy women. So much so that you name yourself after them. Tell us, when did this obsession begin? Woman or man is a false versus. BBDH 187 is quite a student of Goat versus Fish. Psycho Grandma 6, we didn't say that you said that anything was stupid, but we did notice that you said LMAO WTF stupid, so you seem to indication that something was stupid. Psycho Grandma 6 continues, I've noticed that too. My username was based on a lot like that Psycho Grandma started when I was 16, and a friend and I came up for Psycho Grandma for Xbox. You were speaking to Stug, but we wonder what in specific you were saying to Stug. We wondered what in specific was so stupid about Stug. There's a lot that could be found stupid about Stug, so we merely wondered. We merely wondered. BBDH187, will you indulge us in this? Remind us again, though you may have reminded us often, where did you find Goat vs. Fish? Where did you first find Goat vs. Fish? Was it at Willytown Fest? Was it on the Uncle Joe show? We wish to know, we wish to know. BBD8 says, I thought Amber was goat and GMA a fish, but now I see they're the same and have no idea now, lol. Well, once upon the verses, Amber Heard was a goat. Once upon the verses, Amber Heard was even a fish. We celebration that they've had the experience of being a true goat and of being a true fish, even though now they sit on the fence. Hey, you're scrolling through. Stop what you're doing and keep doing what you're doing, which is watching Goat vs. Fish. Are you goat or fish? Please like and subscribe to Goat vs. Fish. Psychogramma continues, just his comments about your legs. He dares verses. But that is the Goat vs. Fish way, but I so happen to think those are mighty fine and muscular. We do what we can, we do what we can. We do what we can. Many will simply trawl Goat vs. Fish, simply seeking a weak point. The fencer, with their pointed spear, will probe you for fear. They want nothing more than to find that where you are insecure and thrust upon it. And they have many classics. In a universe and a time and a society and a place where the beauty of the butt is valued as much as the face, then they may say unto you, ah, you skipped leg day. An insecurity that many may have, hoping to find it. The fencer questions, what is your condition? They question the mind of Goat vs. Fish. And if the mind is not a weak point of Goat vs. Fish, then they question the behind of Goat vs. Fish. Even the fence creature who would troll Goat vs. Fish engages in this dichotomous versus mind and body. Mind and body. Where is the weakness of Goat vs. Fish? But you will not find the weakness of Goat vs. Fish in the mind. You will not find the weakness of Goat vs. Fish in the body. Every insecurity that one wishes to projection upon you is a reflection of themselves. For if they feel that you should be ashamed of something that they think is lame, then you can rest assured that they feel the same lameness within themselves, that they would not be caught with the same weakness that they ascribe to you. Gather Thompson says, I saw your first on the Uncle Joe show. Celebration for the Uncle Joe show. Goat vs. Fish was just on the Uncle Joe show. A moderation, a Nephew Network member. The Uncle Joe show, Yesterverses, just last night, had a mighty versus. Over 1,000 watching the Uncle Joe show on the Twitch front page. What a celebration, what a celebration, what an elation. Front page material, the Uncle Joe show. Show toes, show toes. So celebration for the Uncle Joe. The Uncle Joe had 1,000 viewers, which is only 250 50 times as many viewers as Goat vs. Fish has now. So if only each one of you tells another 250 of your friends to come and watch Goat vs. Fish, then we will have 1,000 viewers and no fences. But we are content to speak unto you, because look where we are. Goat vs. Fish is touching grass, and it's a beautiful verses. Beautiful verses to move around and feel great. I think I found Goat vs. Fish when I was watching a lot of street protests in 2020, a raid. So you were watching a street protest that raided Goat vs. Fish? This has been known to happen. I remember my mind melting and having a lot of fun. Has your mind reconstituted itself? What about you? Has your mind reconstituted itself? Or is it merely melting into an infinite puddle? Your plasticine brain, the nooks and crannies ever smoothing with each passing scroll. Erosion taking place. As wrinkles appear on your face, erosion in your mind, smooth-brained creatures. Soon you do not think for yourself. Soon you let the screen do the thinking for you, even as it collects all of your information to sell to the fence-sitter nation. As they extract every last verses of your worth. It is not enough, says the troll fencer, that the very fences around us wish to extract every last verses of value that you have to offer. It is not enough that the fences around you would happily see you crushed for a nickel. No, their jollies come from a place of seeing you in a pickle, not able to defend yourself from their pointy accusations. They interrogate your mind, they interrogate your body, they search for an insecurity, the troll fencer does. That's how they get their lulls. That's how they get their lulls. Goat vs. Fish does help to melt the mind. We want to melt the mind. The mind grows more rigid, they say, with age. You experience more goat. You experience more fish. You experience more anger. You experience more rage. Freedoms you once had are gone now. And a calcification occurs in your ponderings. Allow Goat vs. Fish to melt your brain back into a plasticine state, where the freedom of youth may once more you elate. Are you goat or are you fish? Do not fear the mind melt. You can build it again. Be you cabra or smelt. Mic drop. Oh, yes, we often drop the mic. That's a wild phone tripod, like six feet. Oh, the one that on which is that verses of goat versus fish. This verse is this. Yes, this verse is here. Is about as high as goat versus fish. The one over there could be higher still. Could be higher still. Anything you might need to create a stream of goat versus fish, it's out there, it's out there, it's out there for you. Some cheap, some pricey. We have procured many verses that are dicey and others strong. Others we've lost long ago. It's bright out. It's bright out. Are they saving daylight for goat versus fish? Are they saving daylight for goat versus fish? Does that merely mean that goat versus fish can give you the verses for longer? It would seem so. It would seem so. It would seem like 6 was an hour ago. But it's here now. I want that phone tripod. Well, you can find it in the Amazon. You can find this phone tripod in the Amazon. You can find it in the Amazon. And you can find it. Look for one that's well rated. Look for one. Check its height. Check its height. They can be 1 million verses in price, or they can be as few as 20. Welcome, scrollers, to Goat vs. Fish. The algorithm sees fit to bestow Goat vs. Fish upon you. The algorithm is generous to you to give you Goat vs. Fish. So before you scroll away, give a like and subscribe to the verses. And are you goat or are you fish? There are many other things you could witness. Many other things that would screech loudly. Many other things that would not challenge you like goat versus fish do. Some may think that goat versus fish is old and slow. You want to see something more exciting, a better show. You want to see something that tickles your funny bone. You want to see something about how to get out of the friend zone. But we assure you of this. There is no advice that you can find through all of your scrolling. No one piece of wisdom that can get you out of that fence zone. But if you were to stay here with Goat versus Fish and engage in true and sincere conversation, if you were to be honest with Goat versus Fish and open up to Goat versus Fish, then you will become stronger. You will become wiser. And you may find yourself out of that fence zone soon enough. Choose goat or fish. That's where it starts. Welcome, Dirt Cobain. One must not study the verses, you say, of the verses before declaring goat or fish. The verses comes from within. One can study the verses of goat versus fish before declaring goat or fish, but declaring goat or fish does not require a studying of the verses of goat versus fish. For the choice you make upon hearing first the one true question, that is a celebration, and as you learn more about the verses of goat versus fish, you may wish to change from goat to fish or from fish to goat, and then that will be a new verses. But you have changed. You have changed. And that's okay. That's okay. You will never have the opportunity to choose goat or fish again now, because now only happens now. So why not choose goat or fish and let it guide your next verses? Sit on the fence, you might. But don't let that be your eternal plight. Get off that fence. Get off that fence. Learn something about the universe. And then if you wish, check again. Check again with Goat versus Fish. This week, motivation's going to be crazy. So far, my favorite guest was Chip. Yes, Chip was an amazing guest. There's no one quite like Chip. I study the way Goat vs. Fish performs, if that means anything. We're not so sure it does. But we appreciate your studious eye. There are some who get more eyes than Goat vs. Fish, some who get more viewers. It's true. But we have found that even those whose congregations might appear larger than Goat vs. Fish, those who command a greater audience than Goat vs. Fish, those that are wise, they respect Goat vs. Fish. They see the performance in Goat vs. Fish. And many have even said upon watching a set of Goat vs. Fish, I learned something today. And if what is to be gained from Goat vs. Fish is for you to enter this verses and to leave with a bit more wisdom under your sleeve and with a choice of goat or fish, never to return again to Goat vs. Fish to hear another verses, that's okay. We send you on your way with this offering of wisdom of Goat vs. Fish. And may the change that it has made within you ripple out for eternity to all whom you encounter. Goat vs. Fish is this fountain of knowledge and craft that you can use forever. Celebration for BBDH 187. Goat vs. Fish recently, though we are not proud to say, Goat vs. Fish recently acquired a blue check. Not on fence.com, though any of them could be called that, we admit. Goat vs. Fish acquired verification on the Instantgram. Goat vs. Fish acquired Instantgram verification. Blue check for Goat vs. Fish. And what did it take? Well, fence.com may have been ahead of its verses once such verification, they would say, such verification meant something back then. You had to be someone to get verification. You had to be a celebrity. You had to be known. You had to have impersonators pretending to be you and a differentiation. But once they built up this reputation, this blue check reputation, it simply became a commodity to trade. They have no pretenses now. The pretenses of the fence were once tall and proud, but they have since abandoned them. Pay us a ransom, and we will show Goat vs. Fish to those who follow Goat vs. Fish. We thought those who followed Goat vs. Fish wanted more Goat vs. Fish, wanted to support Goat vs. Fish. So Goat vs. Fish pays this ransom for the blue check. It is no source of pride for Goat vs. Fish. But if it helps you find Goat vs. Fish in this limited time we have together, then Goat vs. Fish will call this a celebration. Perhaps that ransom is the only reason you're seeing Goat vs. Fish now. That, and that you are ready to receive Goat vs. Fish, and that Goat vs. Fish brings the verses to you. No thanks to the check blue. but celebration for this communication. So we'll call it part of the advertising budget of Goat vs. Fish. Celebration indeed, Karmic. So yes, Goat vs. Fish is paying the $11.99 a month for blue check verification on Instagram. They make it quite plain. They say, hey, you will be prioritized in the algorithm, Goat vs. Fish. And we have found that once Goat vs. Fish started paying for this verification, that many users that Goat vs. Fish was unfamiliar with started liking the posts of Goat vs. Fish. And we clicked upon them, and indeed, they already followed Goat vs. Fish. Perhaps Goat vs. Fish was being hidden from them. But Goat vs. Fish does not want to be hidden from you. And so we pay for the check blue, Some of your donations you make to Goat vs. Fish will go towards this check blue. And we suppose that when those search for Goat vs. Fish, they may still be impressed. And they will know that Goat vs. Fish is a true versus. But really, it is just a fee that we pay. But Goat vs. Fish will kiss that fee away. As long as it means more communication between you and Goat vs. Fish, that is the celebration. Goat vs. Fish takes no pleasure in riding the fence just to get Goat vs. Fish to you. But it would not be the first fence that Goat vs. Fish had to overcome in order to tell you about Goat vs. Fish. You are here now, and we appreciation. Soon, the entire nation will be here with Goat vs. Fish. And maybe also a space station. And maybe a claymation. There's lots of Asians out there, as you know. Goat vs. Fish stonks in 2026 going way up. It does seem. Probably due to the award-winning feat. Probably so. Talking the PayPal business loan thing? BBDH187 says, I'm not here because it's popular. It's because it's the best place to versus the GOAT. And because of Goat vs. Fish. Indeed, BBDH187. BBDH187, regardless of your aspiration, we tell you this. You are too wise to be granted moderation status. You're a fish. You versus the GOAT. And you are an exemplary congregation member of Goat vs. Fish. Your verses are perfect just as they are, and we appreciation your unyielding support of Goat vs. Fish. We aim to make it worth your verses every single celebration, every single unification, and every single Fish versus Goat. Karmic, welcome to Goat vs. Fish, and then are you Goat or Fish to you this mighty versus? Is modification something you seek? We have never heard BBDH187 even remotely seek modification. You may call it a promotion if you wish, but it is merely another way to serve Goat vs. Fish. There are many ways to serve Goat vs. Fish. And as an exemplary member of the congregation, that is a very pleasant way to serve Goat vs. Fish, although it is the verses of Karmic the modification GOAT to apologization and say sorry for no promotion for Fish, because it is Goat vs. Fish. The PayPal business loan, it was merely just another promotion made to Goat vs. Fish. You know the verses. They send some Pony Express to GoatVsFish, and they say, oh, don't you want a business loan? Don't you want it? Don't you want your name written on a plastic card that gives you money? It's just a loan. You'll be able to pay it back. Why don't you just jump in our pocket, GoatVsFish? We're sure you won't have any trouble getting out. But we've already got PayPal right where we want them. They already wrote GoatVsFish on a simulacrum of a card that they wanted to use in order to entice GoatVsFish to take a loan of money from them so we would have to pay it back. They took their crack at GoatVsFish, but we're not accepting your PayPal business loan. PayPal, you just got owned by GoatVsFish. Are you goat or are you fish? And you keep making it written GoatVsFish upon every single piece of media you have. Expend that ink, and we will return the verses by causing you to think about GoatVsFish. GoatVsFish will not be taking out a PayPal business loan. GoatVsFish will not be taking out a PayPal business loan, but we appreciation whenever your monetization is thrown at GoatVsFish, as many here, if not all, are members of the Patreon humble congregation of GoatVsFish. The humble congregation of GoatVsFish. An interesting verse is GoatVsFish went live wide for 1 hour and did a congregation about time. We do not know whom among you received the notification, but GoatVsFish has found that for one verses or another, this vertical verses. That's me. I'm a part of that. Yes, you are part of the unification congregation. You are part of the unification congregation. Behold. We wonder about those of you watching. Tell us. Tell us now. Did you find a link to GoatVsFish in the Discord of GoatVsFish? Were you merely scrolling upon YouTube and the algorithm fed you GoatVsFish because it knows you like to watch this? Do tell us. Do tell us. Do tell us. How did you find yourself here on this living stream now? And if you've been lurking, or if you've just been scrolling through, or if to the congregation you are new, now is your chance. Now is your chance to tell GoatVsFish that you just stumbled upon this and you have no idea what you're watching, but you just can't look away. How I find you was merely swiping on Twitch and then history was made. Ah, Psycho Grandma 6. Appreciation. Appreciation. Appreciation, but that is not the question of GoatVsFish. You must listen to GoatVsFish. We are asking how you made your way into the congregation now. This versus now. Did you click upon a link of GoatVsFish from the Patreon of GoatVsFish? Did you find us in the Instagram promotion of GoatVsFish? Were you merely going to youtube.com/GoatVsFish and seeing what was the verses? Or were you idly swiping away and the algorithm fed you GoatVsFish? The fish will take a sword if GoatVsFish wishes. BBDH187. GoatVsFish has no wish in this regard. We would simply wish you to be pleased with GoatVsFish. Is it something you crave? Is it something you desire? Is it something to which you aspire? GoatVsFish has not gotten this sense from you. You seem very happy to simply be fish. Psycho Grandma 6 wants a sword, and you will not be getting one. You do a lot for GoatVsFish. You give a lot to Goat vs. Fish. And our lack of offering you a modification is in no way a denunciation of all that you have done for the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. A modification is not something you can buy. It's not something you can buy. Not that we think you would try. I don't want modification. I want a sword. Ah. Well, perhaps one day, amongst the many merch of Goat vs. Fish, we will make a sword of Goat vs. Fish. As a matter of verses, Bayoudin 420 could make a sword of Goat vs. Fish. Hey, Bayoudin 420, why don't you make a sword of Goat vs. Fish that's got goat and fish on the hilt and it's got a unification on the guard? Make a sword of Goat vs. Fish. We'll call it Excaliverses. And it's stuck in a fence, and only the true verses can pull it out. Excaliverse. Once, Bayoudin 420 hypothesized a crown of Goat vs. Fish, so this has yet to materialize, but maybe a sword of Goat vs. Fish. Perhaps a sword of verses and a shield of unification. Big unification shield and a sword of Goat vs. Fish. Wouldn't that be a mighty versus? I will pull Excaliverses from the fence. Yes, it will be a test for all goat and fish. Behold, Excaliverse. Excalibur is already very Goat vs. Fish. It is pulled from the lake of the fish. It's pulled from the lake of the fish. But no, I'm happy to being VIP. Modifications, whole different verses. Indeed, indeed, indeed. If there were such a verses as VIP that could be granted here on YouTube, Goat vs. Fish would offer it to you. Perhaps once we have achieved monetization, we will be able to offer you something like this. We do not know. Six is a mighty versus for Goat vs. Fish. Whenever Goat vs. Fish is on the living stream and we see 6, Goat vs. Fish knows that this is a fine congregation. A fine congregation of Goat vs. Fish. What more do we need? What more do we need than 6? 6 is a celebration. 6 is a glorious celebration. 6 is a glorious celebration. Welcome, 6, to Goat vs. Fish. Please like and subscribe to Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish will return soon. Goat vs. Fish will return soon, indeed. Goat vs. Fish is going to take some relief. And then Goat vs. Fish will come back to conversation with you and celebration to eventually gold. So enjoy Goat vs. Fish here, and Goat vs. Fish shall return very soon. True ones are going to stay here. True ones are going to stay. Don't go away. Now who are watching our 8. Now who are watching our 8. There's no need to go away. Just stay. Just stay. What is your dream? What is your aspiration? What do you hope to gain from watching Goat vs. Fish? Goat vs. Fish has no time to trifle with those who lack patience to understand Goat vs. Fish, to learn about Goat vs. Fish. So if you think you have what it takes, then stay here in the congregation. Leave a commentation. Choose Goat or Fish, or ask a question to Goat vs. Fish. And we shall return. We shall return soon. And Goat vs. Fish will be here for you. Do not give in to the temptation to scroll away, thinking that there's something that someone else will say that will give you that which you seek. What you seek is already here. It is only a sense of fear that would pull you away. Goat vs. Fish has been to the algorithm. We've seen what it has to offer. And the offerings are lean. The offerings are lean. But here at Goat vs. Fish, you can get fat on verses with glorious ripples and rolls. Behold, Goat vs. Fish. We'll be right back. Goat versus fish. A shark and a goat. A shark and a goat. Behold the mightiest fish, challenging the goat. Goat versus fish thought, it's fun here being out by the tree of the knowledge of goat and fish. But we can bring the congregation out here. We can bring the congregation out here with goat versus fish. We can bring a goat and a fish. We can bring a goat and a fish. Look! Look at the goat and the fish. Give something for you to ponder. Speaking of verses, Goat versus Fish has here Angry Orchard Crispy Imperial Inebriation. And Goat versus Fish has here a Premium Seltzer Original Hydration. Which one will Goat versus Fish consume? Which one will Goat versus Fish consume, we wonder? Which one will Goat versus Fish consume, we wonder? The Crispy Imperial Inebriation or the Simple and Subtle Hydration? Which will Goat versus Fish consume? Inebriation? Hydration. Inebriation? Hydration. Inebriation? Hydration. Inebriation, hydration. Goat versus Fish is feeling the temptation for inebriation with the congregation. Next verses is a Monday morning motivational. Goat versus Fish has been experiencing many triumphs in recent verses. We could celebration with you. We could celebration with you. What do you say to Goat versus Fish? What do you say to Goat versus Fish? Some may say, Goat versus Fish. Your stitched goat and your fish, they're going to get fence sitters in them. They're going to get fence sitters in them. Goat versus Fish says, the goat and fish, they're meant to versus. Goat versus Fish. We're meant to be alive. We're meant to touch grass. We're meant to thrive. Allow these goat and fish to be out here, And if it becomes a dirty, dirty, dirty goat, well, goat get dirty sometimes, and so do fish. And look at this. Look who showed up. Fence creature. Fence creature. So tell Goat versus Fish, what are you all doing this evening? What are you all doing this evening? Are you dreading the Mun versus ahead? Are you looking forward to your morning motivations? Are you still just getting out of bed? Are you making something to consume? Tell us what's going on with you. Tell us what's going on with you. Daylight fencing times has begun again. They're changing time on Goat versus Fish. They're changing time on Goat versus Fish. It is evidence of the verses. Yes, it is evidence of the verses. I'm hoping to finish my music video for the intro to my streams. That's a celebration. That's a celebration. Perhaps Goat versus Fish should make an intro to the streams of Goat versus Fish. There are many verses that Goat versus Fish could be doing even now. Many preparations, many cleanings of the studio of Goat versus Fish. But we'll tell you this. Yesterverses, there were no shrine streams. And yesterverses, there were no sermonizations of Goat versus Fish, no walking around with Goat versus Fish. And Goat versus Fish, the watch hours for that day were about 5.6. And Goat versus Fish is pleased with this. We are pleased with 5.6. But it is far less than when Goat versus Fish goes live. They like the live Goat versus Fish. Sure, you can watch as much Goat versus Fish as you wish, but they love the live Goat versus Fish, the interaction with Goat versus Fish, you being here now with Goat versus Fish, the congregation of Goat versus Fish. But it is a demonstration to Goat versus Fish that if we want those watch hours, that Goat versus Fish, as of yet, though the power of Goat versus Fish grows, as of yet, there is no substitution There is no substitution for going live with Goat versus Fish. And so Goat versus Fish is here, and so Goat versus Fish is here, going live with you. Live with Goat versus Fish. There is no substitute. Using jumbo yarn to make a quick fish. A quick jumbo fish? Ooh, that sounds fun to Goat versus Fish. A quick jumbo fish. Psycho Grandma 6 seems to be taking this streaming quite seriously, quite seriously. One of these verses, Psycho Grandma 6, we may find their name change. We may find their name change, and we may find they even have a profile pic. Who's to say? Who is to say? Who is to say? To make it fair verses is... This verse is happening on land. BBDH187 taunts the goat. Taunts the goat. For fish. Implication, fish could so easily triumph over goat that for it to even be a fair versus, it has to take place on the land where it's advantage to goat. Goat may have the advantage, but that merely makes it an even versus for the powerful fish. It's not even a challenge for fish unless it's on the land. Fish versus goat for sport in the sea. It's only on the land where the verses are true, here by the tree of the knowledge of goat and fish. Here we are by the temple of Goat versus Fish, by the temple of Goat versus Fish. It is true, many verses you see of Goat versus Fish do take place on the land of the goat. But remember, it is a versus. And one of the powers of fish is their mysteriousness. How deep the sea goes. So deep that the shining light of the verses can scarcely pierce the deep. So deep that, like the anglerfish, they make their own verse light down there so they can see and fight down there to fight the goat. Goat versus Fish, in all of our wisdom, maintains this mysteriousness of the fish. So here we are, we conversation on the land. Meanwhile, deep beneath the sea, the fish are scheming of their next verses of goat. Hidden, unseen, scales glisten, scales gleam. In the deep, as deep as the contemplations of Goat versus Fish. Howdy, y'all. Bud Morgan. Welcome to Goat versus Fish celebration, Bud Morgan. Behold, we have Goat and Fish here in the verses with Goat versus Fish. We have Goat and Fish here in the verses. Goat versus Fish also has 1, a verses of carbonation hydration, and 1, a verses of angry orchard inebriation. What are your ponderings to Goat versus Fish? Hydration? Inebriation? Unification of Goat and Fish? And howdy y'all, Bud Morgan. Bud Morgan, are you still on the fence? We would never deny you the one true question. Are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or are you fish? Those of you just scrolling through, the question comes to you. Are you goat? Are you fish? Did you skip leg day? Are you here for philosophications? Are you here for religious conversations? Something about your scrolling habits. YouTube said You need Goat versus Fish, and who are we to deny the wisdom of the algorithm of YouTube when they provide unto you Goat versus Fish? But Morgan says, I'm high upon the fence. Well, it never hurts to ask. It only hurts to sit on the fence. That's a nice verses. That's a nice verses. That's a nice quotation. Hey, Psycho Grandma 6, can you put that in? Can you put that in the reminders of Goat versus Fish? Quotation. It never hurts to ask. It only hurts to sit on the fence. And you may say, you may wish to deny Goat versus Fish. You may want to fencify that verses. But as one of the reminders of Goat versus Fish, we wish you to remind Goat versus Fish that it was a verses of Goat versus Fish, that it never hurts to ask, it only hurts to sit on the fence. We want that to be a direct quotation. And if after that you want to put your own little verses of explanation for why it's false, you can do whatever you wish. But we want that in the reminders of Goat versus Fish. Quotation, it never hurts to ask, it only hurts to sit on the fence. We want to see it. We want to see it there. Are you in service to Goat versus Fish? Or will you let your pride blind you to the service of Goat versus Fish? Karmic received the towel merch celebration. If you have not done so already, please post the towel merch in the Discord of Goat versus Fish. We want to see it on full display. We want to see the whole verses. We want to see it all. We want to see it all. We must see the towel of Goat versus Fish. Are you pleased? Are you pleased with the towel merch of Goat versus Fish? Are you pleased with the towel merch of Goat versus Fish? If humans can't see air, can fish see water? Well, you are speaking of humans to Goat versus Fish. Are you talking about goats? This is Goat versus Fish, Bud Morgan. Please, we know you're on the fence, but there's no need to offend Goat versus Fish. If goats can't see air, can fish see water? And we see what you did there. Sea water. Sea. Water. Fish of the sea. You might as well say sea. If you're going to say sea water, you might as well say sea. And a shout out to CC from Goat versus Fish. A shout out to Kaya from Goat vs. Fish. A shout out to Arya from Goat vs. Fish. A shout out to Prue Lawrence from Goat vs. Fish. Shout out to Baodin from Goat vs. Fish. A shout out to Thorgrim from Goat vs. Fish. Whether or not we see you here in the congregation, we know you listen to Goat vs. Fish. Even goat must drink the water of the fish. It is true. It is true. This is a time when goat are vulnerable to fish, when they go to drink of the sea of the fish. It seems like it's getting darker for Goat versus Fish, and yet Goat versus Fish has these verses on, has these shades on still. So perhaps it is not as dark as even it seems. Hey, that's my family. Well, you have revealed it. That is a verses you have revealed unto the congregation. Great quote, says BBDH187. What great quote was that? Done. It's added. I hope everything else on the doc is great for you. Oh, Psycho Grandma 6, you had a concern that you were over-explaining the verses to Goat versus Fish, but we do not think that you did that. It looks very fine to Goat versus Fish. Looks very organization to Goat versus Fish. You have the verses, and then under the verses you have a brief, but nevertheless expanded explanation of the verses. We think you are doing just fine. We think you are doing just fine in your capacitation as that who is writing the reminders of Goat versus Fish. So appreciation for Psycho Grandma 6. for keeping the reminders of Goat versus Fish. You have no complaints from Goat versus Fish, except that we hope you choose goat or fish. But that's not a complaint. It's more of a hope of Goat versus Fish, an aspiration. Always thank Goat versus Fish. It looks nice, says Karmic, but I don't know how absorbent it will be. It's soft like a blanket. Haven't tried it yet. Ah, well, it could still be a versus you take to the beach, and we suppose it still looks very pleasant. Does it look pleasant? You could see how absorbent it be. You could see how absorbent it be. But at the very least, you could picnic upon it. You could picnic upon it, or you could keep it from the sand that gets everywhere, as we once heard. Beach towels aren't really meant to be absorbent, are they? That's what some might say. That's what some might say. But you will find that in the light of the verses that you will dry soon enough. You'll dry soon enough. Or perhaps you are cold, Goat versus Fish remains. We have carbonation, hydration, and we have an inebriation of Goat versus Fish. We have inebriation, we could consume, and we have hydration of Goat versus Fish. Suddenly 9 viewers of Goat versus Fish, 9 glorious viewers of Goat versus Fish. 9 glorious viewers of Goat versus Fish. Finally, Karmic the goat chimes in. Have the cider, they say to Goat versus Fish. And suddenly the dam bursts open. Recommendations for Goat versus Fish. Have the cider, says Karmic to Goat versus Fish. That's one goat who claims that Goat versus Fish should have the cider on this day of eternal verse light. This day of eternal verse light, where we hear that many are marathoning in L.A. They're marathoning in L.A. the Goat versus Fish way. Have the cider, says Goat. Does any fish disagree? Does any fish disagree? Does any fish disagree with the goat? We want to allow our verses. We want to fair verses. Goat says have the cider. Goat says have the cider. Goat says have the cider. What say the fish? 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 Reverse. Goat versus Fish. You're watching Goat versus Fish in reverse. You're watching Goat versus Fish in reverse. You're watching Fish versus Goat. You're watching Fish versus Goat walking in reverse. You're watching Fish versus Goat walking in reverse. How can they do it? How can they live stream and hold a conversation and walk in reverse at the same verses? The amazing skill of Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish is versing backwards. We've never seen anything like it. These feats of strength, these feats of skill, these feats of balance, the award-winning feat of Goat versus Fish. We've never seen any verses like it. We've never seen any verses like it. Is YouTube glitching? Is YouTube glitching? Is the goat fishing? Is the goat fishing? Or is Goat versus Fish just doing the amazing verses of moving backwards through time? It's time travel of Goat versus Fish. Suddenly, Goat versus Fish was moving backwards through time. Time was a fence to Goat versus Fish. By the power of Fish versus Goat, Goat versus Fish was moving backwards again. We're going back to the verses. Dirt Cobain says, this fish declares cider the drink of celebration. So we have Goat and Fish in agreement. What about you, Psycho Grandma 6? You, the fence sitter who so craves a voice in Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish has cider. Goat versus Fish has hydration. Wow Mom the Goat says have the cider. Dirt Cobain the Fish says it's a drink of celebration. Now's your big chance, Psycho Grandma 6. What do you say? Hydration? Inebriation? Don't hide now. Don't hide now. What say you to Goat versus Fish? What says the congregation of Goat versus Fish? Are you goat or are you fish? 9 glorious viewers of Goat vs. Fish. If you are new and just scrolling through, like and subscribe to Goat vs. Fish. Unless you want your algorithm to be filled with the same old verses that you've seen before. You tire of it. You bore. But you don't know what else to do. You've got somehow to get the day through. Well, at least now you have Goat vs. Fish in your feed. What are you going to do about it? Cheers to Goat vs. Fish. Bud Morgan says cheers to Goat vs. Fish. Well, Goat vs. Fish, fence creature. Fence begets fence. Goat vs. Fish, we could cheers you. We could cheer you with hydration alone. We could cheer you with hydration alone. We could cheer you with hydration alone. Or is cheers something, or did you think that we were on Twitch all of a sudden? Or did you think we were on Twitch? Suddenly the fence grows very silent. They claim they want a voice. They claim they want a choice. And Goat vs. Fish says, shall we partake of the hydration? Shall we partake of the inebriation? Not that anyone here in the congregation could make Goat vs. Fish do any such verses. It is by our own volition. It is by our own volition. It is an adults-only stream. Baby goat and fish not allowed. Just the other verses, there was someone new to the congregation of Goat vs. Fish, and they said, I have to go to bed. I have to go to middle school tomorrow. And Goat vs. Fish was very pleased to have a middle school teacher here in the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. And when we said this, they said, it's great to be here. What a wise teacher. What a wise sensei. We love having middle school teachers here in the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. Someone has to education the younglings. BBDH27 with fish, 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 fish. No kids or fries in this verses. BBDH187 says this fish has an IPA. Well, that's all you had to say to Goat vs. Fish. That's all you had to say to Goat vs. Fish. That's all you had to say to Goat vs. Fish. For we have said that you are not to be a modification of Goat vs. Fish, BBDH187, but you always bring the celebration to Goat vs. Fish in the congregation, in the commentation. BBDH187, the fish, once again showing themselves to be an exemplary leader of the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. We ask you, hydration, inebriation, hydration, inebriation. BBDH187 simply says, I've got an IPA, Goat vs. Fish. And would we want the fish to drink alone? Would we want the fish to drink alone? No! Not as we stream on the phone. Not as we stream on the phone. BBDH187. Tonight, you drink with Goat vs. Fish. Tonight, we say celebration. Hey, quiet, fence sitter. Oh, now the fence sitter wants to get in on the verses. Now the fence sitter wants to get. Oh, I've got a voodoo ranger. Suddenly the fence sitter feels left out. This one goes out. This one goes out to the goat and fish. We have 9 watching goat versus fish. Let this inebriation celebration bring us to 10. To 10 again on goat versus fish. We pour one out. We pour one out to goat versus fish. We pour one out on the side of the fish versus goat. And as for the fence, it's bring your own verses. Celebration. Celebration for fish. BBDH 187. Celebration for fish. As for goat, maybe next time you'll bring one to goat versus fish. That's a triumph for fish. Oh, that's a harsh versus. It's a sweet versus, but this crisp imperial, it has a crown, just like goat versus fish. Did you know this? Did you know this? We hope you saw it. It has a crown, just like goat versus fish. Crisp, refreshing goat versus fish. The crisp imperial goat versus fish. A Shiner Bock? Does it have a goat on it, Bud Morgan? Does your Shiner Bock have a goat on it? We wish to know. We want to know if your Shiner Bock has a goat on it. Many Bocks have goat on them. Does it have a goat? Does it have a goat? Welcome, 10! A celebration of 10 watching goat versus fish. Goat versus fish has done it again. Goat versus fish at 10 has done it again. Okay, it's 9 now. But for a brief shining versus, 10 we're viewing goat versus fish. It's a party out here in goat versus fish. It's a party out here in goat versus fish. Yes, Bud. Yes, it has a goat. Celebration for goat. Celebration for goat. Bud Morgan's got a goat on the verses. Goat on the Shiner Bock. That's a celebration for goat. That's a celebration for goat. Goat, 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 goat. Yester versus goat versus fish had 2 inebriations. The first inebriation was with the Conscious Outlaws, and goat versus fish enjoyed 1 inebriation and 1 consumption of the weed of the sea, a rare versus now for goat versus fish. It used to not be so rare, but a rare versus now. It's a goat, Bud Morgan. Don't be fancy. Don't be offensiveless. It's a goat. It's clearly goat. BBDH 187 is having tropical celebrations. BBDH 187 says mine has a bear, is a bear, a goat, or a fish? No, it's a beer. It's a beer, and the beer is a goat or a fish. Dirt Cobain, we're going to pin your message. We're going to pin your celebration, Dirt Cobain. We're pinning it. Goat versus fish. Let's have a little versus. Let's have a little versus. Let's have a little verses. The verses of the pin. The verses of the pin. Who wins? The verses of the pin. Now fish is winning because fish says celebration and the message fish is pinned. If you want goat or fish to win the verses, then you have to make a commentation to goat versus fish that is worthy of being pinned on the living stream of goat versus fish. So concoct your best comments, concoct your best verses. Maybe it's a funny verses, maybe it's a wise verses, maybe it's just a versely thing to say to a goat or fish that feels very goat versus fish. Maybe it's a big declaration. Maybe it's something smart for Goat versus Fish. Maybe it's something dumb for Goat versus Fish. Goat and Fish, your versus now is to say things in the congregation of Goat versus Fish, and we're going to play a little versus. We're going to call it pin the tail on the goat or fish. And the way you win is by Goat versus Fish deciding to pin your verses to the chat of Goat versus Fish. And now the current verses is that Fish has triumphed because Dirt Cobain has Celebration pinned and Dirt Cobain is Fish. Psycho Grandma 6 says Fence already wins that, except that your commentation is not getting pinned. So there's no win. There's no win. There's no win. Your commentation's not getting pinned. There's no win. No win. It's a no-win situation for Fence. It's a no-win situation for Fence. We doubt the Fence could ever construct any such verses that would be pinned by Goat versus Fish. Karmic says, notice me, senpai. Says, notice me, senpai. Okay. Goat versus Fish replaces the pinned message. We notice you. We notice the goat. Goat versus Fish. Notice the goat. And now Goat is winning the verses. Goat is winning the verses because Goat versus Fish did notice. You said to notice you, and Goat versus Fish did notice. You said to notice. Goat versus Fish noticed. It's a triumph. It's a triumph for Goat. Goat is currently winning the verses of Pin the Tail on the Goat or Fish. Goat is winning the verses. Karmic is winning the verses for Goat. Psycho Grandma 6 says, okay, Amber Heard is Goat. Pin me. No, it's not so easy. It's not so easy as that. Now, that would be a great cause for celebration. However, while it is colloquially understood that Psycho Grandma 6 and I Can Fix Amber Heard are one and the same, there can remain a shred of doubt. A shred of doubt that you truly are. Perhaps on YouTube you feel different, you act different, you are different. How can we be so certain? How can we be so certain that Psycho Grandma 6 really is I Can Fix Amber Heard after all? Do we just take it for verses? We will not have Psycho Grandma 6 saying that Amber Heard is Goat, and Goat versus Fish, you can't speak for Amber Heard. You can't speak for Amber Heard. There's Amber Heard, and there's I Can Fix Amber Heard. Refensulous. Haha, you're right. I'm still Fence. I lied. I'm sorry. I just like seeing my name on the thing. Oh, we know you like seeing your name on the thing. Lies and manipulation from the fence sitter. Lies and manipulation from the fence sitter. Karmic wins the verses again. Let that pin be a warning to you, a warning from the modification goat. Lies and manipulation from the fence sitter. You will find that Goat versus Fish uses the verses around us to create Goat versus Fish. We use the tree of the knowledge of Goat versus Fish. We use the living stream. We touch the grass. We use the scene. All you need around you to enjoy Goat versus Fish is already there, So if the verses of YouTube is to have a pinned message, then let that be the verses of Goat versus Fish. It's a simple verses. It's a classic verses, just like Goat versus Fish. Just like Goat versus Fish. Oh, the wisdom of Goat versus Fish. Oh, the wisdom of Goat versus Fish. Lies and manipulation from the fence sitter. Lies, deception. Oh, my verses. There's some fence sitters up there you cannot see. Maybe Goat versus Fish should try to show you some high-sitting fence sitters. Wait to versus. They sat high on the fence. Fish Army says eventually Gold says Fish Army. Dirt Cobain has a caught fish fighting with Goat. Dirt Cobain, that's a fine versus, but given that you're a fish, do you really want to use the caught fish as your fish emote? It seems like you're kind of giving the verses to Goat. Eventually Gold, however, says Fish Army. Fish is winning the verses. The Fish Army is strong. Look at all those emoji of fish. We've got fish. We've got fish. They've even recruited whales to the side of fish. They've recruited sharks to the side of fish. They've recruited cartoon whales and naturalistic-looking whales and puffer fish. All the fish. Eventually Gold Fish Army. Fish are winning the pinned verses. Fish are winning the pinned verses. Eventually Gold with the pinned verses. A true versus, says BBDH187. Psycho Grandma 6 says, how wild would it be if anyone was trying to pretend to be I Can Fix Amber Heard? What would be gained from that? Well, I Can Fix Amber Heard, we will say this. I Can Fix Amber Heard is an esteemed member of the Unification Congregation. Perhaps it's a versus of Stolen Valor. Perhaps someone wishes to be recognition as a member of the Unification Congregation of Goat versus Fish, and so they claim to be I Can Fix Amber Heard for that versus. BBDH187 said, Goat earned that. A concession to Goat. Psycho Grandma 6. You have made a lot of contributions to Goat vs. Fish. When Goat vs. Fish has our temple grounds, you can come, and you can trim all the verses of Goat vs. Fish. Those fence sitters, they're making a lot of noise at Goat vs. Fish. The caught fish still fights. Well, celebration, Dirt Cobain, celebration. The caught fish still fights. Psycho Grandma 6. Make that a verses. Make that a verses of Dirt Cobain. We want to hear it. We want it written. We want it written in Goat vs. Fish. The caught fish still fights. Karmic says, I'll let Fish win this one. Good for them. Interesting verses. Goat vs. Fish pins that to the chat of Goat vs. Fish. Let this be a paradox of Goat vs. Fish. If Goat vs. Fish pins, silence fence sitter, if Goat vs. Fish pins a message from a goat that says, I'll let Fish win this one, Is that a triumph for goat, or is it actually a triumph for fish? Because though we pin the goat, the message of goat is a concession for fish. Goat versus fish is giving it to the fish. We pin a goat comment, but the goat comment is, I'll let the fish win this one. Goat versus fish is enjoying the inebriation, but what we're going to do is take our hydration, and we're going to pour it into the inebriation, and we're going to stretch it out, and we're going to stretch it out so we can enjoy more consumption on Goat versus Fish. 10 viewers on Goat versus Fish. 10 viewers. Like and subscribe to Goat versus Fish. You have found the most unique stream in all the universe. And we're back to 9 with Goat versus Fish. A step towards unification? A step towards unifornication? Appreciation, congregation, for being all here with Goat versus Fish. Oh, my verses. We would wish to show you these flying fence machines, but it would be too late by the time Goat versus Fish showed it to you. They don't want to stay around for Goat versus Fish. Like so many doom scrollers, they scroll into Goat versus Fish and they scroll away from Goat versus Fish. Bye-bye, fence creatures. We hope you return and choose Goat or Fish, one versus. Unicornication? Unifornication, Dirt Cobain. Unifornication. Unifornication. Not unicornication. That's revengulous. Unifornication. Inebriation can sometimes lead to unifornication. 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 Psycho Grandma 6. Put that in the verses. Unifornication. Unifornication. Put that in the verses for Goat versus Fish to remember. Unifornication. Unification of goat and fish is an aspiration of many goat and fish. Goat and fish, they want some ass. They aspire to it. They ask, are you goat or are you fish? Hoping to achieve that communion of unifornication. It's a form of unification. Not all unification of goat and fish are unifornication, but it is a classic versus. When did you last unifornication? And are you goat or are you fish? Horny goat? Wet fish? Or maybe the reverse. Unifornication. Silence, Fence-Sitter. Viva unifornication. It is dimming out. It is dimming out. Goat versus Fish has removed the shades of Goat versus Fish, so we can see the verse light ever more clearly. Oh, what? Now there's just 7 watching Goat versus Fish. The talk of unifornication was a bit too real. A bit too real. Unification versus unifornication. Unifornication is a form of unification. One does not need to do unifornication in order to achieve unification. Some presume that unification is unifornication, but unifornication is just one kind of unification. Viva unifornication. Viva unifornication. Viva unifornication. Viva unifornication. Sometimes I feel like I need unifornication. Sometimes I feel like I'm on the fence, like a city of angelfish, a city of goatness. Why can't you realize you're goat or a fish? Boom, boom, and I don't ever wanna eel. Like I'm on the fence, take me to the goats I love. Take me all the whence, I don't ever wanna eel. Like I'm on the fence, take me to the goat I love. Versus all the whence. Yeah. Yeah. What's in your pocket? Better not ask twice. Well, given that this is the verses, Dirt Cobain wins the verses of the pin yet again. Dirt Cobain with Viva Unifornication. We win it, we pin it for win it for fish. A fish that is seeking unifornication. It doesn't take much inebriation before the goat and fish start to seek unifornication, does it? For some goat and fish, that's the only verses that they seek inebriation, is to find unifornication. Soon enough, Goat vs. Fish will have achieved our glorious 3,000 watch hours. Then there won't be as much pressure for Goat vs. Fish to come live and to give these living streams unto you. We wonder, Goat and Fish, are some of you having hesitation? Do some of you hesitation to watch Goat vs. Fish because you think you know that if Goat vs. Fish achieves 3,000 watch hours on Goat vs. Fish, that there will be less living streams of Goat vs. Fish? Is that what some of you think? Is that what some of you think? Is that what some of you think? Goat vs. Fish is going to provide some illumination now for Goat vs. Fish. Don't go anywhere. We're going to provide some illumination and see what happens. How about that? A long shadow on goat versus fish? A long one-directional shadow on goat versus fish? It's an interesting versus. Do you see the illumination? Do you see the illumination? Can you see the illumination? It's shining upon the goat. The fish kind of remains deep, deep, deep in the sea of the fish. Looks nice. Looks nice. Appreciation. We are pleased you think it looks nice. Perhaps it looks dramatic. Does it look like a big dramatic versus of goat versus fish? Dramatization? A dramatization? Give us the congregation. Give us back the chat of goat versus fish. Give us back the chat of goat versus fish. It looks like a spotlight. It isn't a matter of verses. We're keeping it warm. We're keeping it warm. Production value. This is production value on goat versus fish. It shines on them legs pretty fine and dandy. Stug had no idea what he was talking about. Maybe this is just the inebriation talking, but goat versus fish. We pin that versus. We pin that versus. Psycho Grandma 6. It shines on them legs with pretty fine and dandy. Stug had no idea what they were versing about. They didn't. Goat versus fish has never skipped leg day. One day in a versus. Every day's leg day for a goat versus fish. Every day is leg day for a goat versus fish. Even fish days are leg days for a goat versus fish. Fish with legs, fish with legs. Appeal to ego. Lego my ego, Karmic. Lego my ego. An affront to the verses, but you are goat versus fish? Well, listen, goat and fish. Sometimes goat versus fish needs to give you, goat and fish, something to strive for. Sometimes goat versus fish. Sometimes coach goat versus fish. To give you, goat and fish, something to strive for. And listen, goat and fish, we have to encourage the fence creature. When the fence creature does something worthy of goat versus fish, we have to encourage the fence creature so that they can become more goat versus fish. And if we encourage the fence creature just enough, they might choose goat or fish. They might choose goat or fish one versus. Goat and fish, if you simply want to punish the fence sitter all the verses, then do you think they will ever truly accept goat versus fish? If all you do is just punish the fence sitter? No, we take pity on the fence sitter. We throw them a pity verses. We throw them a little pity verses. It's a little pity party. It's a psycho grandma pity party. It's a psycho pity party. Come, heap our pity upon the fence sitter. This is like watching SpongeBob SquarePants on psychedelics. We suspect that many have done just that. Ooh, the fence creatures are nibbling at goat versus fish. Sometimes goat versus fish, just like a compliment, likes to feel pretty. Goat versus fish, pretty verses. Now he's justification of the congregation. That's very rich coming from Psycho Grandma 6. Your whole existence is a justification. The fence sitter says that now goat versus fish is just justifying itself to the congregation. But the fence sitter's entire existence is a justification for why they don't choose goat, or why they don't choose fish, or why it's oh so special for them to sit on the fence like no one else has to. It's something that only they can do. Your justification wears thin. Are you goat or are you fish? This just in. Your justification is fence. Goat versus fish is going long. Goat versus fish is going long. You give an inch to the fence, an inch, and it comes for your blood. The fence is always coming for your blood. The fence comes for your blood. The fence comes for your blood. What do you think all of its fence posts and barbs are for? It comes for your blood. Your very life force, your very essence. It needed to be said, and Goat versus Fish said it. Some say that nothing Goat versus Fish says needs to be said, but Goat versus Fish says it anyway. We still say Goat versus Fish. Some say Goat versus Fish needed to be said. Some say Goat versus Fish does not need to be said. Some say Goat versus Fish does not need to be said. And Goat versus Fish agrees. Why, it is Goat versus Fish. It is so obviously Goat versus Fish that even if you don't say it's Goat versus Fish, it is Goat versus Fish. But why do you say Goat versus Fish, Goat versus Fish? Why do you say so much Goat versus Fish? Well, if you don't think that Goat versus Fish needed to be said, then Goat versus Fish will say this. When you said to Goat versus Fish that Goat versus Fish did not need to be said, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to say Goat versus Fish, but you said Goat versus Fish anyway when you said that Goat versus Fish didn't need to be said. And that is a triumph for Goat versus Fish. You said Goat versus Fish. It needed to be said. Clearly. BBDH187. It needed to be said. It inspired Goat versus Fish. Fish take the verses. BBDH187, the Fish takes the verses. It needed to be said is now the pinned verses. The pinned verses continues. It needed to be said. It needed to be said is now the verses. Goat versus Fish did whole verses about it. You inspired Goat versus Fish. When you say something that inspires Goat versus Fish, that is a rather sure verses that you might get your commentation featured on Goat versus Fish. Fish take the verses. It's been fancy too long. Fish take the verses. It's back to BBDH187. It needed to be said. It needed to be said. Fish take the verses. Surely Goat versus Fish has fence creature repellent? Surely. Surely. We were hoping that you, the congregation, would repel the fence sitters, like, hey, stay away from Goat versus Fish. Bodyguards for Goat versus Fish. Ah, the best fence sitter repellent of all. Yes, yes, very wise, Goat versus Fish, very wise. Been cut on so many fences. Oh, we know, the fence sitter. The fence sitter is relentless. Goat versus Fish has said this before, but we are going to say it again to the congregation now. So if you go up the driveway of Goat versus Fish because you want to park the Goat versus Fish mobile, the neighbors who are, let's just say the neighbors are having a little, they're having a little verses of their own, but it's not a pleasant verses. It's a very dysfunctional verses. And they built a fence. They built a fence all around their establishment. And they built a fence along the driveway of Goat versus Fish. And Goat versus Fish put Goat versus Fish stickers on the fence because we're not going to let that fence offend Goat versus Fish. And now, thanks to all the rain of the Sea of the Fish and all the wind of the blowing goat, that fence, which was weak to begin with, is now leaning. Their fence is now careening. Their white fence is now careening into the driveway of Goat vs. Fish and threatening the sanctity, threatening the security of the Goat vs. Fish mobile, threatening to crash down on the Goat vs. Fish mobile, the very verses of transportation for Goat vs. Fish. The fence is falling. The fence is falling on Goat vs. Fish. They think the fence is strong enough to stand on its own, but the fence is falling on Goat vs. Fish. Negligence, negligence for the fence sitter. If you're going to sit on the fence, you'd best tend to it and not make it a problem for Goat vs. Fish. We're tired of your fences leaning into our verseways. We need straight thoroughfare for Goat and Fish to verses, not encroaching upon the property of Goat vs. Fish. Life, liberty, and pursuit of Goat vs. Fish. How dare they? Karmic says, stop asking directions from those who have never been where you are going. Only ask, are you goat or fish? Nice verses. Nice verses. Psycho Grandma 6. You put that in the conversation. You put that in the reminders of Goat versus Fish. Psycho Grandma 6 says, Karmic, I'm going to remember that next time someone does ask me directions to the nearest Walmart is, yes, a wall is a fence. A wall, we're going to build the wall, we're going to build a fence. They say a wall is just a fence by any other verses. Walmart, Fence Mart, Goat versus Fish. They say, what will replace capitalism? What is the next economic paradigm? Goat versus Fish. I ask myself, am I goat or am I fish, as I set up on the fence? Well, this is a fine verses. There are some fence sitters out there who don't even ponder the one true question. But you ponder Goat versus Fish, and that is cause for celebration. Celebration, Bud Morgan. You keep pondering Goat versus Fish. You keep pondering if you are goat or fish. And let that verses carry you into the celebration. Let that carry you into the celebration. Several hundred hours, 600, 500 more watch hours needed for Goat versus Fish. Huge verses, big verses. Big, huge, mighty verses. Is the exhaustion setting in for Goat versus Fish? Can we make it? Can we make it, Goat and Fish? You will find that when you are nearing your goals, when you are about to triumph that fish, when you are about to triumph that goat, suddenly fancy thoughts will begin creeping into your mind. What if I just left it all behind? What if I do not finish what I have begun? Who would even care? Who would even notice? Who would even shun me if I do not complete the task with which I have been given, or which you have given yourself? There is no need to ponder this any further. It is just another fence in between you and your verses of goat and your verses of fish. Completion your task, and do not be susceptible to last-minute ass sitting on the fence. You've got this, Goat and Fish. It's time to triumph and start what you finished. Goat versus Fish is making so many clips. The Instagram and the YouTube and the Book of Faces, it's filled with all of these little wisdoms of Goat versus Fish now. It's becoming the primary form of contentment. Yes, of course, we will still post pics of Goat and Fish, but why not The wisdom of Goat versus Fish. It is the verses of Goat versus Fish. You seek wisdom from Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish gives the verses to you. So we give you the verses. We give you the wisdom of Goat versus Fish. Late stage capitalism and early stage goat versus fish. Well, it's early stage goat versus fish. It's late stage goat versus fish. Goat versus Fish wishes to ask you all once again, so please tell Goat versus Fish. This stream, the stream you are watching now, the stream with which you have now spent hours with Goat versus Fish, for which we give you appreciation, hours with Goat versus Fish, and hours with one another in the congregation. You honor Goat versus Fish. You truly honor Goat versus Fish. We wish to know, how did you end up in this particular stream here now? Did you find a Patreon link of Goat versus Fish? Did you find an Instagram link of Goat versus Fish? Did you find a Discord link of Goat versus Fish? Were you scrolling about and they showed you Goat versus Fish? Did you go to GoatVsFish.com and you clicked on Goat versus Fish? Do Goat versus Fish this service. Tell Goat versus Fish, how did you end up at this very stream just now? Appreciation, Psycho Grandma 6. The quote has been added. Celebration. 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 Goat versus Fish is going to add karmic. Goat, take the verses. Stop asking directions from those who have never been where you are going. Only ask, are you goat or fish? It's a brilliant verses. It's a beautiful verses. We like that verses. Has that been added, Psycho Grandma 6? Did you add that to the verses? You said you did, but there have been so many fine verses that we have asked to been added to the verses. So many brilliant verses here in the congregation of Goat versus Fish. As we have said many verses before, Goat versus Fish comes from within you. If you think Goat versus Fish is wise, surprise, 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 you are wise. The wisdom of Goat, the wisdom of Fish, they are yours. They're in your mind. Leave your doubts behind. Share your wisdom of Goat versus Fish with all of those around you, and maybe, just maybe, one of those fence-sitters will join you in the congregation of Goat versus Fish, choosing Goat, and it was written, and it was wrote. Appreciation for your wisdom. Leave a commentation, and share your thoughts with Goat versus Fish. Appreciation, Psycho Grandma 6. Scrolling through YouTube and saw Goat versus Fish live stream. That's what we like to hear. We like to know that the algorithm knows you like Goat versus Fish, and then it shows you Goat versus Fish. That's a beautiful verses. Appreciation, BBDH. Psycho Grandma 6 says, the oceans were uneasy. A specific wave from the ocean called to me, and distant bleats from the goat called once you hit live, and therefore I arrived in the congregation and the stream. Yeah, I did added karmic and Dirt Cobain quotes. Appreciation. But Morgan says, I am subbed, but I found this particular verses while doom scrolling. This is what is our suspicion of Goat versus Fish. And we are pleased to hear this, that you are scrolling about, and Goat versus Fish is live again. It shows you Goat versus Fish. At least we know that those of you who like Goat versus Fish, it is showing you Goat versus Fish. This is pleasant. This is a pleasant verses. You can get all the notifications you wish from Goat versus Fish, but sometimes that fancy algorithm just needs to show you Goat versus Fish. Jesse Gween 9784 says, I'm on the fence today. Real fence hours. We've got at least 3 fence sitters in the verses now. 8 viewers, 3 fence sitters. Goat and Fish. You even added the date of the YouTube stream from when it was written. Wow, what nice information. I got the caught fish, still fights, and unifornication, and also stop asking directions. Fine verses. Well verses, Psycho Grandma. Jesse, why are you on the fence today? Why are you on the fence today? Go on, share with Goat versus Fish. You have nothing to hide. You have nothing to fear from the verses. And now it is dark, and now it is dark, and yet it is not even so late. 7:43. Oh, my verses. We're just Goat versus Fish. We're just sick and fancy. We are just sick and fancy of not having achieved our monetization. So Goat versus Fish, we look at the viewers of Goat versus Fish, and whether there are 2, or whether there are 10, or whether there are 20, and whether there are few, and whether there are plenty, we are just versing. We're just versing and versing and versing. We're versing and versing until the verses are through. You're watching Goat versus Fish. So are you. More. You deserve more Goat versus Fish. You deserve versus more Goat versus Fish. You deserve versus more hours of Goat versus Fish. And we will versus until the verses are done. 5.3 hours of watch time yesterverses on Goat versus Fish. We won't have it anymore on Goat versus Fish. We'll give you more Goat versus Fish. If you demand more Goat versus Fish, we will give you more Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish is here for you. Goat versus Fish is here for you to view. Together we triumph. We triumph together, Goat and Fish. We triumph together. We tire of the wait. We tire of the wait. We're getting off that fence. We're choosing Goat or Fish. Aren't we, congregation? Aren't we, congregation? Normally I am Fish, but just don't feel it today. And why don't you feel it today? Go on. Tell Goat versus Fish. Why don't you feel it today? It is nothing to be ashamed. There's no need to feel shame to Goat versus Fish. What is? You've got that fancy feeling. Whoa, oh, that fancy feeling. You've got that fancy feeling. Are you Goat or Fish? What's the verses? Where's the gong? It's over there. Does Goat versus Fish believe in fortune cookies? Goat versus Fish has experienced fortune cookies. And we are sad to hear that there are so many trapped in fortune cookie factories who deserve liberation and should be offered the freedom to choose Goat or Fish. It seems every verse as we open a fortune cookie, it says, "Help, I'm trapped in a fortune cookie factory." This brings much sadness to Goat versus Fish. We need liberation for all fortune cookie factory workers on Goat versus Fish. Be free from your chains. Choose Goat or Fish. Liberation! Liberation. The fortune cookie factory. Goat versus Fish knows a fence sitter. Goat versus Fish knows a fence sitter who, alternatively, is pleased and spreads the verses of Goat versus Fish. And at other verses is so caught up in their own false verses that they cannot stand Goat versus Fish. Perhaps it is due to their inebriation. Perhaps it is due to their self-infatuation. Perhaps it is due to their anger towards the universe. Goat versus Fish does not know. Goat versus Fish once considered them a friend, but now they're just more of a fence. They want nothing more than to take offense at Goat versus Fish. And one of these verses that this fence sitter would do is they would post fortune cookies all over the interwebiverse. Every verses they received a fortune cookie, they would post it. They would post it as if it was some wisdom. But what wisdom is this? It is not your own wisdom. It's just something that you cracked open in a confection and passed it off as a celebration. The fortune cookie is a received wisdom that you got from someone else. But Goat versus Fish tells you to find the wisdom within yourself, because Goat versus Fish comes from within you. Oh, yes, you could do it all for the cookie, But Goat vs. Fish asks you to take a looky within yourself and choose goat or choose fish. Run your fortunely wisdom by your fellow goat and fish, and they'll tell you if it's worth of verses, which you may accept or you may reject. But are you goat or are you fish? Your fortune is in your hooves. Your fortune is in your fins. And sometimes the fortune cookies are empty. What's the fence with that? What's the fence with that? I am in a transition point in my verses, and the fence just feels safe. Fish kisses to you, Primo Mahi. Welcome to Goat vs. Fish. Appreciation for fish kisses. Welcome back to the living stream of Goat vs. Fish. We've been streaming for 18 million hours. We are accumulating watch hours on Goat vs. Fish and providing you with sermonization of Goat vs. Fish. Bumper stickers are Drive by Wisdom. Goat vs. Fish has Goat vs. Fish stickers on our bumper. But as we drive about Los Angeles, we find that bumper stickers are not as commonplace, are not as common space as they used to be. We would love you all to have Goat vs. Fish on your bumpers, but we have found that it is not as popular. It is not so popular anymore. Primo Mahi, what brings you to the stream of Goat vs. Fish? Jesse, you are in a transition point in your verses. Well, we are pleased that you come to Goat vs. Fish during your transition. A transition from goat to fish or from fish to goat. Things change, things change. Sometimes you feel sane, sometimes you feel deranged. You will find that as you navigation the verses, the changes will come. Sometimes things feel plain and the same. Sometimes feel rather dull and humdrum, but changes do come. But you're the one who comes to the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. Can we get some support here in the chat of Goat vs. Fish, here in the congregation? This is one of the verses that the congregation are for. Can we get some celebration for Jesse in appreciation of their transitional point? They are using the fence shortly. But they are going through a change. And Goat vs. Fish wishes to celebration. Changes can be hard. They can be hard as a fence post. Don't stay on that fence for too long. Ponder goat, ponder fish, ponder Goat vs. Fish. Use the verses that you need, but no more. And you will find that your transition will be easier than ever once you commit to goat, once you commit to fish. But we comprehension, a transition cannot be easy. It's one of the places where the fence post makes its stab at thee. It sees you are vulnerable. It sees you are weak. But no, that outlook is far too bleak. You are ready to make a difference in your own life. And that is commendable from Goat vs. Fish. Celebration. At this pivotal verses, we ask the one true question, are you goat or are you fish? That's the verses. It was always the verses. Celebration for your transition. Dragon Balls, welcome to Goat vs. Fish. They keep coming to Goat vs. Fish. Welcome, Dragon Balls, to the verses. At last, you have found us. We've been living streaming for 1,000,000 years. Dragon Balls 325. Shredding, are you goat or fish? Karmic says, the worst fortune I ever got was from Dove Candy the day my father's funeral. Life is what happens between your first breath and your last. We think there might be a few verses before and after that, too. Many verses. We've heard that you are left to ponder goat versus fish even after your last breath for at least several minutes. Enjoy it. Enjoy thinking about goat versus fish while you still can. No brakes for the goat? Oh, we thought that maybe you needed to get your automotion repaired. Please, get your brakes fixed. But goat versus fish, no, we're not taking a break this versus. Goat versus fish, we're getting more watch hours on goat versus fish. We're getting more watch hours on goat versus fish. As we have said, we're sick and fancy. We're sick and fancy of not having this 3,000 hour monetization, but the only way through is to do. The only way through is to do. And the only way through is for you to view Goat versus Fish. So keep watching Goat versus Fish. And appreciation for your presence in the congregation. Sometimes a fence can have a gate to the other side, says Bud Morgan. Sometimes. That's what we heard. We heard the big fence builder say, oh, we're going to build a fence. We're going to build a fence, but it's going to be a great big door in the fence. They didn't build the fence. They didn't build the door. It was just more fancy deception. It was just more deception. It's like, oh, we'll build a fence, but don't despair. We'll leave a door for you. Oh, and what are you going to do with that door? Are you going to charge the goat and fish? Are you going to say, well, you have to pay goat and fish? Where once goat versus fish could versus freely. The fish in the sea and the goat munching grass greenly. Now you put a fence. Now you put a fence. And by your benevolence, you put a big gate in the fence so that you can open and close it at your own whim. And by your own designation, asking for tribute to the fence, 'cause you'll only let in certain goat and fish, won't you? So you put a door or a gate in the fence, and you want to be told that you're so great for your benevolence. Tear down that fence, let the goat and fish versus freely, and then we will commend your benevolence to goat versus fish. Fence makes a problem, and then wants you to celebration them for providing the solution. Dragon Balls, you're grinding on that fence? Well, you're playing the guitar. And you're shredding away, and you've been living streaming. Celebration. Can we get some celebration for Dragon Balls 325 for doing the living streams? Dragon Balls 325 has been doing living streams. Celebration, Dragon Balls 325. Celebration for your living streams. Dragon Balls 325 says, I wipe my rump on the fence. Wow. Please, we require some sanitization. Goat and fish, the fence is looking filthy. It needs to be cleaned. It needs to be cleaned. Goat versus Fish is pondering consumption now. When this live living stream ends, what consumption should be consumed for Goat versus Fish? Whoa, 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 Psycho Grandma 6. Whoa, says Psycho Grandma 6. Fence rejects the rump. Fence rejects the rump? Psycho Grandma 6. Oh, my verses. Oh, my verses. Fence rejects the rump. Fence rejects the rump. Well, if the fence rejects the rump, then how are you still sitting on the fence? The fence rejects your rump, Psycho Grandma 6. So choose goat or choose fish. Choose goat or choose fish. The fence on which you sit rejects you. Get your rump off that stump. Choose goat or fish. Are you goat or fish? How many millions of short verses has Goat vs. Fish made from this? Legendary. Ah, yes, the legend of Goat vs. Fish continues. We're pinning that one, Psychogramma 6. Fence rejects the rump. You do it to yourself, just you. And now Psychogramma 6 says, oh no, Fence loves my rump. It takes a special rump for the fence. You're reversing your own verses. It's too late. It's too late. Fence rejects the rump. And this is what we have often said. The fence sitter loves the smell of its own rump. Oh, your rump is not sufficient for me. But my rump smells ever so sweet. Are the fish top water or bottom feeders? Well, fish are swimming in a variable strata. Just as goat climb high and also live in the fields and on the plains of the land, goat all the way to the top, and there grazing on the low grasses, so do the fish swim high near the surface, near the bright shining verses, and deep, deep down below, so deep that some goat have never even ventured there before, and there's mere speculation about what fish are on the ocean floor. The ocean floor, so deep, made of sand and land of the goat, and yet goat have never been to this land, but fish have. So before you get cocky, goat, about how high you can climb, remember that fish are exploring lands you only dream of all the time, deep beneath the ocean waves. They live upon the land that you crave. Goat versus fish saves. Save Goat versus Fish. Share Goat versus Fish. Like Goat versus Fish. Are you goat or fish? True verses indeed. True verses indeed. And 10 again are watching Goat versus Fish. 10 again. 10 again. Let's get a chant going in the chat. Come on, congregation. 10 again. 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 And now 9 are watching Goat versus Fish. And now 9 are watching Goat versus Fish. Some fence sitters fleeting on Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish flirts with 10. And now 6 for Goat versus Fish. No, Psychogramma 6 for Goat versus Fish. What the fence? Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish just versing hard for every last watch minute. Fence watch hours. We're talking watch minutes on Goat versus Fish. Watch minutes on Goat versus Fish. Every versus counts. Every versus counts. Every versus counts. And we will count every verses. We will count every verses. But Goat and Fish, this has been a live living stream of Goat versus Fish. This has been a live living stream of Goat versus Fish. Appreciation for you joining Goat versus Fish. Pitiably, Goat and Fish, we're not going to conquer that 3,000-hour fence today. No, it cannot be done today. But again, at that fence, we chip away. Micro goals. Goat. But we've done a lot, Goat and Fish. We've done a lot this versus Goat and Fish. And we have a morning motivational still to go. We have a morning motivational still to go. And Stonks reminds Goat versus Fish that there's still taxation to do. And Goat versus Fish is going to go to Hell's Heroes. There's so much to be done. But versefully, it's all fun. It's all fun. The labors of Goat versus Fish are all fun. And we wish to thank everyone. We wish to thank everyone for joining Goat versus Fish. So if you're abandoning Goat versus Fish now, please like and subscribe to Goat versus Fish. And we will now be live for your final commentations. Please place your final commentations in the congregation of Goat versus Fish, and Goat versus Fish will address the congregation. We await your verses. This is a surprise to Goat versus Fish. We say, oh, the stream is over. Goat versus Fish has not ended the living stream, but we say the stream is over. And then, perhaps not so surprisingly to Goat versus Fish, when we ponder it, they abandon Goat versus Fish. You would think they would stay to the end, but when Goat versus Fish says, we're done with this verses, they swipe away. It's a fair verses. But Morgan says, Goat versus Fish, I'm still on the fence. Well then, are you Goat or Fish? Psycho Grandma 6 says, Fence is almost done with his music video, going to be super duper famous. The Goat and the Fish, they versus. The fence sitter, high on the promise of fame. Goat versus Fish, long ago, craves not fame. We do wish that more Goat and Fish know about Goat versus Fish. But Goat versus Fish is simply pleased to spread the verses to you. And are you Goat or are you Fish, fence sitter? Are you Goat or are you Fish? But if it is fame that you seek, maybe commit to Goat or Fish. Karmic says, I wish I were the Goat of Valhalla, from whose teats flow sweet mead. Well, perhaps by a process of fermentation, you could be that very breed. We have known you, Karmic. And we would say that trick or treat and trick or teat, one versus or another, the inebriation does flow when you're around. So perhaps you are not so far off of your goal as you may think. Here's to your drink. Psycho Grandma 6 says, then, and only then, will I get a chance to fix Amber Heard. It's a fence's errand. On which that we will not expound. Dragon Ball's Goat. 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 We're going to pin Dragon Ball's 5 goats. As the final pin, the Goat win. The Goat win the verses of the pin. Because it's this kind of commitment to Goat that we need more of on Goat versus Fish. Commitment to Goat, commitment to Fish. Just Goat. What more can be said than Goat other than versus Fish? Appreciation, congregation, for joining Goat versus Fish. Let's see how many hours. You got caught me snoozing fish. Snooze fish. Well, hey, as a fish now, you can be like, Goat are working too hard. Fish is resting. Who's the real triumpher of this versus? It has scarcely been even 3 hours, though we streamed an hour before this, so it's been 3.5 hours of Goat vs. Fish living streaming. And there have been verses where we've streamed for 7 and for 8 hours. The powers of Goat vs. Fish. But there's more Goat vs. Fish yet to do. There's some morning motivations at 8 a.m. next verses. So Goat and Fish, appreciation and celebration. And it was written. And it was written. Goat vs. Fish! Goat vs. Fish is now going to offer you who linger here in the congregation of Goat vs. Fish a little bonus verses. As Goat vs. Fish tidies up the goat and tidies up the fish and tidies up the congregation, if you wish to add a bonus watch hour to Goat vs. Fish, you may watch the tidying up of Goat vs. Fish, linger here in the congregation and verses amongst yourselves as we go now to tidy up Goat vs. Fish and this mighty fine verses by the tree of the knowledge of Goat vs. Fish. You may stay here in the congregation to add some precious, precious watch minutes to Goat vs. Fish. With 6 viewers every 10 minutes is one more watch hour, one more 3,000th of that which we need. Verses by verses, fish by fish, goat by goat, gonna make that verses grow. So by all verses, linger here in Goat vs. Fish and accrue more watch hours as we tidy the verses. Appreciation, appreciation, appreciation. Your extra dedication means the universe to Goat vs. Fish. Appreciation to the 7 still here with Goat versus Fish, or the truest verses. 7 with Goat versus Fish, 7 with Goat versus Fish. 5 with Goat versus Fish, 5 with Goat versus Fish. Ah. The fleeting verses of engagement with Goat versus Fish. Who among you wishes to be engaged to Goat versus Fish? Some we hear, some we hear. Engagement with Goat versus Fish. Hey, listen to this. Are you goat or fish? Are you goat or fish? Indecipherable. For now. For now. For now. What kind of featherhead flying goat was that? Oh, who's to say? Who's to say, Bojack? Who's to say? Appreciation, Bojack. Glory be to fish. Do seafaring mammals like dolphins and whales count in the fish category? It would seem that they are fish-shaped. It would seem that they are fish. And a quick verses, but it is known that whales are pretty big and dolphins are pretty smart. So if Goat and Fish want to recruit them into the ranks of the Goat and Fish for the Mighty Verses, the recruitment drive is on. The very survival of Goat and Fish may depend on recruiting dolphins and whales into the Mighty Verses of Goat versus Fish. So get out there and start asking. Bojack, thank you for joining, even at this late verses. Appreciation to the congregation of Goat versus Fish. We'll see you on the next verses.